Hey guys, what's up? Stock Retail coming back to you. Got a topic that has been on my mind for quite some time, and I am seeing a narrative play out that is just a copy paste, a repeat of 2023 and some things that happened. And so, what I really want to do is go ahead and just address this narrative head on. You can even see the title here: AMC's cash flows, fear or excitement. Where should you be? I'm not going to tell you how to think, but I'm going to present you what I see and how I view our business and what's going on. And just to set this up, what I've seen a lot in particular, if you go back about, what is it, maybe 5 or 6 weeks, when the Goldman Sachs forward agreement was announced. You can go back, find a video from me on December 7th where I covered that. Yesterday, I covered that the 8K had come out. AMC announced we are done with that agreement. And if you followed me a while, you know that I like to view the overall chessboard. I like to zoom out and see the big picture. Um, it's probably why I've held some strategy roles in my career. It's sometimes it's just good to see all the pieces and see how they all go together, and that gives you an idea of everything going on, and so you don't get over focused on any just one piece. And the reason I bring that up, from the moment the Goldman Sachs forward agreement was announced, clear back in early December, there was immediately a clear narrative that emerged. I saw it right away. And what happens is, I've told you guys there's a video you could find also about the playbook of sort of short and distort. That one is probably from like last March or April of 2024. And what happens is when I see a group of people all start to echo the same talking points in the same ways, and then what I see is you all think you're clever. Some of the network basically has all these alt accounts and some bots and things, and they show up posting on my YouTube and on my X posts the same questions over and over, and they'll make themselves appear like an average ape, someone I don't know, a smaller account or whatever, and just with an innocently posed question, right? But it's the same questions over and over. And really, what they're doing is planting the seed of a negative narrative. So let's go ahead and just look at where our business is, where we're going. Um, Go back as well. Two of the last, like, I don't know, maybe 4 videos, I have covered where our business is going. So look at those, and we'll kind of click into some different details today. So here's what happened in 2023. In early 2023, these same accounts were all saying cash burn, fear, fear, fear. And I was literally very publicly addressing them and saying, what the heck are you talking about? I mean, you go back, you could find some posts and some videos of mine, kind of spring of 2023 and then into the summer. And what happened was, so I was saying, you guys are crazy. We are cash flow positive. We're good to go. Now, remember, this is pre strike, right? I didn't know the strike was coming. So I think it's fair for me to say you can't hold that one over my head. Had the strike not happened, things would be very different. So I was saying, hey, you guys are wrong. This is fear narrative. We are cash flow positive. Look at the box office. Well, in Q2 and Q3, so I was saying that before those results were released, and sure enough, go back and look, and you will see Q2 and Q3 of 2023 were both bottom line profits. There is a new troll who keeps trying to say that Adam only talks about EBITDA. Please go back and go ahead and look at Q2 and Q3 of 2023. Those were bottom line profits, not EBITDA. And Q3, I'm just showing you some numbers here. Cash flow, positive cash generated from operations of $66 million dollars. And free cash flow, that's a different metric. It's not necessarily, again, there's the cash flow from operations was 66 million. The free cash flow was 8 million. Both were positive. And so what I'm just highlighting, not as a brag, but as a let's file this one away for I don't know, a nod to credibility, right? If you followed me a while, you know I always say find people who are credible and have integrity. And so there's a point for me in terms of credibility that in 2023, before those results were ever released, based on my own DD and forecasts, I told you all we were generating positive cash flows, and then it actually happened, right? So as we go through this now, think through how the conversation is going right now. There are voices telling you fear narrative, telling you cash burn narrative, and yet the box office is about to turn around. But we're going to get to that. So remember what I've said in the past, though. Earnings reports are a snapshot of the past. When we get our next earnings report, it's going to be for Q4. I can't remember quite off the top of my head, but I think our annual report is usually in March. It might be February, but I think it might be March. So I think our next earnings call is probably in March, but that will be looking back at October through December of last year. So some of those results are even 6 months ago, last October. Now, I think Q4 was pretty good. I still need to publish a forecast for you guys on where I think we landed. But nonetheless, we're looking backwards, right? But cash flows are real time. And so that's where I want to just really focus us. The narrative out there is cash burn, we don't have shares, we're going to have to vote on new shares. And they like to say reverse split, reverse split, reverse split. They do that a lot too. You're going to see that. And once you see it, you won't unsee it, right? Like you'll start to spot the network because anytime there's any good news, or if I have a video that, like, say, does well, or a post on X, immediately they all come out with the same narrative over and over and over. So if earnings reports are a snapshot of the past, cash flows are real time. And here's what I just want you to consider. Is AMC alive right now, or is AMC bankrupt? Well, the answer is duh. We're not bankrupt. We're doing well. We're alive right now. Remember, survive, then thrive. So if we're not bankrupt today, what is it? January 17th, then if you look at the timing of the movies coming, that ought to tell you whether you should be afraid or whether you should be excited, right? And so I don't base my point of view on a stock about a bunch of narrative, either hype or fear, right? I've told my followers many times, don't go to hype because that's pump, right? Pump and dump. Don't go to fear because that's short and distort. Let's be somewhere in the middle where we base ourselves on facts. So let's go ahead and look. Well, if you look right now, the rest of January, so we had Wolfman coming out today. I'm not suggesting, excuse me, that that's a blockbuster by any means, but it's not tiny either. And then, by the way, I'm just showing you a few of the movies that are, let's say, a little bit bigger. There's quite a few movies, especially horror movies right now. There's going to be a lot. If you're into thriller and horror, there's a whole lot of titles coming out, some of which, haven't been announced as widely. And so what I'm just sharing with you, remember, if cash flows are real time, as people are paying for these tickets, buying food and beverages, buying merch, that is money coming into AMC in real time. So this is where we are. So if right now, I don't know what AMC's cash account is today, but it's in the hundreds of millions. Remember that Goldman Sachs, the agreement just finished, and AMC just took in another almost 200 million. So I bet AMC, as of today, probably has anywhere from, let's say, $300 to $700 million. So I'm giving you a really big range because I don't know, but let's just call it then around $500 million. In the meantime, these movies are coming out, bringing in cash in real time. You got Dogman and Wolfman here. Just kind of fun to see. Obviously, a little bit of a theme, ironically, there. Dogman and Wolfman, and we just had the Wolf full moon and all of that. So if you want to get into, I don't know, signals and stuff, there you go. But we've got Love Hurts coming out, which that looks amazing to me. So if you go look at the preview, in a way, it's like a little more comedic John Wick. I am super excited for that movie and have been for a while. Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. You got Paddington, obviously Captain America. So that's the one I really want to point you to. In fact, I think I had some animation. So Captain America is the first blockbuster of the year. That is coming out February 14th. Guys, that's less than a month away. So the only reason you should have any fear is if you somehow thought AMC had less than a month of cash. But that's not even remotely true with all the movies we have already out. We've still got Wicked and Moana and Mufasa and Sonic and various other kind of, I'll call it, carryover films that are bringing in cash now. We've got these films coming out constantly. Again, I've said in a couple videos recently, the people who are speaking fear to you, I want you to really notice that. And I want you to notice the disconnect from what's going on with our upcoming business. And then I want you to ask, why are these people spreading fear? When I thought these were AMC accounts, I thought these were people who were for me. Why are they constantly giving me fear narrative? Are you sure they're for you if they're feeding you with fear? There's a problem there, isn't there? But let's keep going. So you got Snow White is coming out, the Looney Tunes movie. Don't sleep on that, guys. That's actually got a lot more buzz than I would expect typically for a Looney Tunes movie. People are saying that one's going to be pretty cool. This movie Sinners, I don't know how many of you have heard of it, but it's actually the industry is buzzing about that one. It's Michael B. Jordan. He is playing two roles, so he's twins, I believe, and it's like a vampire movie. And some of the industry forecasts, go Google that, are pretty big. I have been conservative with my forecast on it just in case, but the industry is very excited about that movie. We saw, remember last year we had the Beekeeper movie with Jason Statham. He just seems to have found his niche with action films and just tends to almost like you can bank it. He's gonna get some money on those films. So that's just the rest of this quarter. I'm just talking Q1 there. And then if you kind of zoom out a little more, look at the list in Q2. Minecraft, Lilo and Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon, Thunderbolts, which is another Marvel movie, Mission Impossible, Karate Kid, Elio, Megan 2, Mickey 17. That one I'm excited about. That's kind of a multiverse movie. Looks kind of cool. Sort of a comedy, sci-fi thriller. F1, that's a Brad Pitt movie, race car movie. Ballerina is a John Wick spinoff. The Accountant comes back with The Accountant 2. A lot of you will know that one. That was a pretty big movie. We get another video game movie, Until Dawn. And I'm only showing you a list of kind of the bigger movies in Q2. There's a whole bunch more. So you go, all right, if I just make it till now, we have Wolfman. Then if I make it a couple more weeks, I got Dogman. And again, I'm not showing you a bunch of the titles. Then Love Hurts comes in. Then Captain America and Paddington. Then Looney Tunes. Then Snow White. Then Sinners. Then Hitman. Then all of these in Q2. So you start to say, do I have the cash flows to survive, then thrive? The answer to me is an obvious yes. I believe that AMC is positioned to start turning around significantly. Well, let's not stop there. So then in Q3, Jurassic World, Superman, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Naked Gun, Smurfs, Fantastic Four. Take a look at the industry forecasts on Fantastic Four. People are believing that thing is going to be huge. And well, Jurassic World and Superman as well. I didn't mean to skip those. No, no disrespect intended. The point is, there's a bunch of huge movies. Bad Guys 2, Freakier Friday, Nobody 2, Insidious 6, Conjuring 4, Downton Abbey, Saw 11. And again, I'm only showing you some of the bigger movies. There's a whole bunch more in both of those quarters, and then also in Q4. Um, and by the way, I will tip my hat. Some point I will show you the more detailed forecast for 2025. I have Q4 as our biggest quarter we've ever had of the ape era. All three of these quarters way above 2 billion in my opinion. And perhaps basically I've got Q2 bigger than Q3 and then Q4 the biggest we've kind of ever had yet. And then well, I don't want to jump ahead to 2026, but I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So look at Q4. We've got the Michael Jackson biopic. We've got a new Tron movie, The Black Phone 2, Mortal Kombat 2, Predator, Now You See Me 3, The Running Man, Wicked 2, Zootopia 2, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, Avatar, SpongeBob, and Anaconda. And, go look at who's in Anaconda 2. That one's looking like it's going to be hilarious to me. So, guys, the people spreading fear want you to not understand that cash flow is here and 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 here, right? So cash flow comes with each of these movies and the food and beverage purchases and the merch. Take a look at the merch for Captain America. No, I don't know, no hype here. I genuinely think it looks super cool. That popcorn bucket, that's the shield. I have some high hopes for how that one's going to sell. So this has me very bullish about our business. And I'm going to give you kind of some numbers here in a minute. Not hardcore numbers, but some general, I don't know, range of numbers. You need to understand 2025 is way bigger than anything we've seen yet. And so again, that's where I'd be focused. It's just logical, and I'm going to just hammer this point home so much. If you're alive today and you've got the cash to be alive and all of this is coming, and I haven't even talked about popcorn and candy and all of that, then you've made it, right? Like, congratulations, you've made it. Don't get me wrong. My expectation is Adam and the team continued to work very, very hard for us. They've shown that in the past. They'll continue to do it. I believe in them very strongly. It's why I'm here. But you've made it. I don't know who is out there talking about cash burn when we've got this going on. All right, but let's keep going. I have shown you this before, so I'll skip by it. Just pause and take a screenshot. Or this was a CultureCrate post on X if you want to go see their account. Um, Here's 60 movies. I just showed you most of these, but there's some I didn't even show you. Like, look, there's a Frankenstein movie. There's a few others here that I didn't list a minute ago. So, I just don't know how you don't be bullish about the size of the box office and remember how that translates into food and beverage sales for AMC on the year. And I'm going to just revisit then something I showed you, and here I'll fly by again because this is now the third video I'm showing you this in. I keep a view of a rolling 4 quarters of the box office. And so if you look, we're right now in the middle of Q1 of 2025, right? So I'm kind of highlighting that if you can see this on the screen, my little arrow. So the last 4 quarters has us basically, remember how I said that Q3 of 2023, was so big. And so that had brought our rolling 4 quarters up here. We're basically back there. That's because Q3 and Q4 of this last year were decent sized. Q1 is a little light. So what I'm highlighting is, yes, we'll have cash burn in Q1 right now. But remember, cash flows are real time. So even if the overall quarter is going to have some cash burn, one, AMC came into the quarter with enough money. Two, AMC just brought in $200 million from Goldman. And then three, again, if today we're not bankrupt, and don't think of it as just the overall quarter, think of it as day to day, and we got all these movies coming in, then we're fine. But don't stop there. What I'm saying is a rolling year view, we're headed steeply up and to the right, into places we've never been. If this is kind of, if I drew a line here at the best combination of 4 quarters we've had, we're about to go way, way higher, right? And so you can see on the year for 2025, I'm believing in kind of a $9.5 to $10 billion box office. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute because it's not just me. The industry is talking about it too. And then remind yourself, again, I've shown this one before, so I'll fly by. The debt is lower than it's ever been in our time here. You can see it's even, almost $1 billion. It's 700 and plus $1 million lower than pre-COVID. And remember that soon, so I've added this to the slide, soon we're going to be closer to like $3.5 billion because there's that debt to equity flip that's going to happen. I don't know, sometime I've got to imagine in the next quarter or two. That's just my belief on where the stock might go, and there's a whole conversation on that. But I believe sometime in the next quarter or two, we will see another $400 million payoff. I told you in another video how there's already been about 50 million paid off in December. So that's already been done versus this number you see here. So debt going way down, box office going way up. You already know what that means to the business. I don't have to, highlight too much that means profits. So here's something I want you to see that we're being watched. There was an article that had come out, early January or maybe the end of December that said 2025 looked like it might hit 9 billion. And so I came out and I said, hey, hang on a second. In 2024, I beat the analyst forecasts on the box office. And hey, in 2025, they're saying it'll barely scratch 9 billion, but I think it's 9.5 to 10. So I've already been saying this for a few weeks, right? What I just told you a minute ago. Then yesterday, I saw a couple articles. Here's just one example. People saying that the box office is going to get to 9.7. This article was saying 9.7, which was actually exactly what I had in there. I've been giving you a range of 9.5 to 10, but my number really was 9.7. And so it was just odd to see that I had posted and done a couple of videos saying 9.7, and then now I see industry articles saying 9.7. So we are definitely being watched, in my opinion. But, it's not about me. My point is, even the industry is allowing itself to speak a little more bullishly about the box office. So they're seeing it. And that's nothing. 2026, I want to show you what the industry is saying. Here's IMDb. The global box office might hit pre-pandemic levels. I don't know why that was such a tongue twister for me, guys. Here's Threads. 2026 box office has potential to be record-breaking. Here's Reddit. Will 2026 be the greatest box office year ever? Here's MSN. 2026 might give Disney its biggest box office haul in decades. So, again, just keep saying it out loud. We are alive right now. We have cash in the accounts right now. The rest of 2025, especially starting from about a month from now. So, right, so you just have to ask yourself, do I think AMC has a month's worth of cash? To me, it's just an easy no-brainer. Yes, we've got plenty. We're fine. And then the cash starts rolling in. And then you get the rest of 2025 that I'm telling you might be $9.5 to $10 billion box office, which we have never seen. And then you get 2026 when people are talking about all-time records. Don't you think that's worth talking about with your stock? So don't you think it's weird that there's a lot of accounts focused on reverse splits and shares and cash burn, and they're not talking to you about anything about the forward view? Please question why that is. All right, so I guess I just hit this slide already. Contrast of voices. The same thing happened with Bitcoin. I was saying, hey guys, you need to understand what's coming with Bitcoin. And I'm still saying that quite a bit if you follow me on X. There are as many as 13 states, I think it is, it might even be 14 now, who some of them actually have already written and proposed bills to vote on to have a strategic reserve for Bitcoin. And you know that there's all kinds of rumblings that this new administration is going to do that at the federal level. So if there's 14 or 15 states going to start purchasing Bitcoin, plus the feds, I've been saying, hey, this is coming, this is coming, this is coming. Meanwhile, these same exact voices who are focusing you on fear and doubt in AMC, several of them crossed over and said, oh, it's all a Ponzi and it's going to collapse and whatever. So again, there's this contrast of voices. And I'm just going to let you choose who you want to go with on that. I was going to out a few of them by name today, and I've got even receipts from 2021 that show some of them and how they arrived on the scene and how they actually came on the scene being promoted by some really terrible accounts and spreading FUD back then that I even literally, from the moment they had arrived, was already having to fight their FUD. And so, when someone sprouts up that way and is still doing it now, and you guys think these are the voices to listen to, I can't help you see it any clearer. But I decided not to sort of, show those receipts. I've got them, and I may show them. It's on a couple accounts. But I don't know. I'm just going to be real with you. I'm a little tired of all the sort of, having to fight these pitched battles with everybody. So for me, I'm just going to let it be a contrast. You hear my voice, you hear their voice, you can go where you want to go. This is a free country. You can listen to the voices you want to listen to. But I'm going to continue to show that contrast, that I am a voice that's pointing forward and showing you what I believe is happening. They are a voice of, I said Bitcoin's coming, they said Ponzi. I've said AMC profits are coming. Right now they're telling you fear. I'll just let that contrast speak for itself. So say out loud, the box office is headed for like 12 to 15% growth in 2025 versus 2024. And I've shown you before, by the way, that AMC has something called operating leverage, or I've called it kind of gross to net, where AMC's growth will outpace the box office growth. So if AMC is going to grow high double digits, maybe even a lot more than that, I'll have to kind of do the deep dive forecast for you soon. And then even bigger growth, we're talking about all-time record levels in 2026. AMC's debt, I just showed you again, is radically improved, so profitability as well is improved. Goldman Sachs is done with that forward agreement deal. We have no more shares selling. So now I even want to just touch on kind of short squeeze type considerations, or here I'm just calling it like a short to long flip. What are some things you'd want? Well, you'd want an industry turnaround. Check. I'm showing you the industry is radically turning around. Strike behind us, COVID behind us, box office returning. That's an industry turnaround. That's something where you can find DFV. You all know what I mean, and you can invest in value. You need a fundamentals turnaround. That's mostly what this YouTube was created for. I was on X long before YouTube, and then I started having, longer form discussions with you all to show you AMC's financials. AMC is absolutely a fundamentals turnaround. Check. And then you want big players going long. Well, I showed you from the filings how Goldman Sachs is going long. Someone posted today, forgive me, I'm quoting something I don't fully remember, but let's say that it was around $6 million. AMC or JP Morgan has gone into AMC. You've got the big players going long. You've got the industry turnaround. You've got the fundamentals turnaround. Wouldn't shorts want you to be afraid so that they can hide their own fear? They're just off putting their fear onto you. Don't buy it. Don't absorb that. That's my point of view. So, bottom line, we're not currently out of cash. We just brought in $200 million. We have the promise of more money. Go back and look at my videos about the forward agreement. There's one from December 7th. There's one from yesterday. Take a look at those videos. The point is, we got this 184 million from Goldman Sachs, but if the stock goes up over the next 6 months, Goldman Sachs will owe AMC more money. And remember, Goldman Sachs is net long. I explained all of that. Bigger films are, I'm just parentheses basically, bigger films are here now. I showed you that timeline. Go back to that timeline of when the films are coming. We are basically here. Dogman, then Captain America, and Snow White, and then off we go with some massive, massive quarters following. 2025, I'm believing full year profits. It says fully year profits, but that's just a mistake. Full year profits. I accidentally skipped the bullet before that. Very big quarters are on the way the rest of the year. Like I told you, I think Q2 is probably our best yet in terms of AMC's profits. I think Q4 is the biggest box office we've seen our entire time here by a lot. It's going to be a really big quarter. And then, 2026, I think will blow the doors off. So I just don't know, what is the DD that the fear mongers are trying to give you other than narrative, and they're all script reading. So I hope you'll start to see that. And that I believe we will win. So let's go.